Getting ready. There we go. You can zoom it out. Well, fantastic. We'll get started. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Joshua Boatman and I'm the Regional Technology Director for Keller Williams, Ohio Valley region, which is just an incredibly long title that just means one simple thing. I have one of the best jobs in all of KW. I get to work with people that I respect, which are real estate agents. Thank you, Ann. You guys are truly the last living, breathing entrepreneurs in this country. And you know, you guys are just generally awesome people to work with. I always tell people, sometimes real estate agents get a bad rap. But I always say, here's the truth, real estate agents are the easiest people to work with. They just have one rule. Don't make them look stupid in front of their clients. So it's always a pleasure. And I get to teach you guys technology. Something that I'm truly passionate about. And the first thing I always like to talk around when we talk about technology is simple. I always like to explain exactly what technology is, what its purpose is. Somewhere along the way, people have confused with the idea that technology was built to make you money. Technology was never built to make money. That's not the purpose of any technology that's ever came out. It wasn't to make you more money. It was to give you more time. It was to provide you leverage. And then ultimately, with that extra time, you get to decide what you want to do. Do you want to show another property? Do you want to have another closing? Do you want to spend time with family? Do you want to spend time avoiding family? It's whatever you want to do. I'm here to help. That's kind of a joke. You guys are gonna have to start laughing a little bit. Right. They're gonna get worse if you don't start laughing now. I promise you. I'm gonna promise you. Today we are going to cover just your agent websites that are built inside of Command. For those of you who don't know, there are agent websites inside of Command for both team and agent, solo agents. And we've had a lot of really cool things happen with these websites over the last 18 months. So we're gonna spend a little bit of time going through just how to configure the initial website, just to make sure that you're presenting the information you want to present before you start sending people to it. We're not gonna deep dive into it, we're gonna kind of gloss over some stuff. And then we're gonna talk around how to implement a really cool feature called a home valuation page and how easy it is to use and how you can start to integrate that better into the. So generally, there's only one rule that I have with any of my classes. If you could save all questions until after I leave, it's just really easy for me. I get the car, get to go. If you have any questions, shout them out, raise, this is simple. And then the last thing before we get started, I'm known to always like to share a joke. Don't shake your head. I like to share a joke before I teach a class. Is it okay if I share you guys a joke?
Yeah,
All right. Can you handle a racing joke? It's a little on the edge. Can you?
I think this group is gonna be tough.
All right.
Chances here.
Don't offend me, please.
This is gonna be my one negative comment. What did the Easter Bunny get charged for? Or what did he? Oh, I ruined the joke. No.
Womp womp.
No, it's not as funny. In fact,
What did it get charged with?
no, I'll tell the joke later. You guys will forget your real estate agent. Shall I go? It'll be fine. We'll bring it up and we'll be a big deal. All right. Did you guys hear about the guy who was addicted to the hokey pokey?
Yes. I know this one.
Why would you do that?
Joke's through, but I know them all.
You go to a comedian, a show, a comedian's on stage, tell them,
Sorry.
oh, wait a minute.
I'll
know
leave the
the
room so you
punchline.
can tell.
I've heard that one before.
Well, he turned himself around, so never mind.
I know.
It's all a catastrophe, but we'll go ahead and we'll get started. All right, here we can see, I just started recording her. Here we can see we're inside of Command. The first thing we want to check before we even start working on our agent website, we want to make sure that our marketing profile is accurate and representative of us. There is a marketing profile inside of Command that you have that basically shows all your information anywhere anyone can find you, and anything consumer related in Command on KW websites on the app. This is what they're going to find out about you, what they're going to learn about you. The easiest way to do that is to go in the upper right hand corner. Click your name. We're gonna go all the way down to settings. And then from the settings screen, we're gonna see over here on the left-hand side, a bunch of different options. We are gonna click connect settings. And underneath that is marketing profile. This is your true marketing profile. This is where you're gonna have your photo. This is where you're gonna have your logo. This is where you're gonna put in all your contact information. If you have any military affiliations, this is a cool thing for most of you who don't know this. If you are affiliated with the military, if you are actively serving or a veteran, or maybe you have family in the military, we have a designation for you. So that way it will show up on your profile, and that's kind of cool. All your different contact information, your brokerage logo, you probably don't have any legal footers, your social media links, all of this good stuff. This is where you put your information, your bio, your photo, everything that will then show up on any About Me page on your website, kw.com, or the app. So just double check this and just make sure that this is accurate. The worst thing you can do is send people to a page that doesn't have your contact info, so they don't know how to directly contact you. Does that make sense? A good rule of thumb that I would always tell anyone, here's the truth. You probably should make a note to update your About Me information about every 6 months. Right? Don't be one of those real estate agents that did an About Me page 10 years ago when you got in the business and you've never gone back in time to update it. The other tip that I will always tell people about meeting pages, with the advent of ChatGPT and AI, it makes it a little bit easier. But when you are thinking of what your bio is going to be, just keep in mind, it's less about your real estate accomplishments and more about who you are as a person. That's always gonna be the biggest key. You can include your real estate accomplishments, but don't turn your bio into like a list of every award you've won, how many you, like 10-time presidential award sales leader club, like stuff most people don't really care about. But what they do care about is what you like to do, who you are. That's who they typically are going to be. With AI, it makes it extremely easy. Just make sure whenever you make any changes on this, you're gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom and hit that save in the lower left-hand corner. And then we're also gonna wanna make sure in the upper right-hand corner, we have this little toggle to green. This use my information to bring my agent site, because this is what will actually push this information everywhere. Any questions on that? It's pretty simple, pretty basic. This is important because you wanna make sure you look your best when you're driving traffic to your website. All right, fantastic. So now we're actually gonna dive into the website platform itself. Extremely easy to get to. We're gonna hit the little home button in the upper left-hand corner. That's gonna take us back to that home screen. Just wanna show you this. No, and then right above it, if you guys are unaware, if you hit that red KW, it actually does show you a list of all the different applets, which is kind of nice, like the names versus the symbols. Then we're gonna go all the way down. We're gonna select websites on the bottom. Now, there's a couple things for you to know about your website. If you haven't set up your agent website yet, you're probably not gonna have this edit agent site option. What you're gonna need to do is click settings at the top. And you very well may need to claim your subdomain. All right, if you need additional help with that, we're not gonna cover all of that in this. Please reach out to Pamela. Pamela can help you with that. To make sure you have your website set up. And then while we're on this settings page, the biggest thing I want to mention to you is this section here called forced registration. So forced registration is this ability for you to turn on a feature on your website that you can determine how many properties someone can view before you force them to register on your website to view more properties. Now, a lot of times people will be like, well, Josh, I don't want to do that. That, like, no one's gonna ever register. They'll just go somewhere else for the photos. Well, here's the truth. I typically would tend to agree, but I'm also a little man. This next generation, they'll register and give their information out to anyone. They're more convenience than prudence, right? They don't wanna go look for the photos somewhere else. They'll just find, have my email, have my phone number, whatever. The other thing is forced registration. This is how Boomtown generates leads. This is how Sync generates leads. All of those other lead gen sources, all they do is run ads to a page that forces people to register to then turn around and sell you that. So a couple quick things that I would mention. I would never do unrestricted, right? I would never let anyone just view any and all listings, but I also would never do no property view, right? So you're typically gonna find either 10 to 2 properties. You have those 2 options. I probably would go 2 properties. Especially because if you are ever one of those that run Facebook ads, to a particular listing on your agent website, you actually want them to be able to view the listing before they're forced to register. Does that make sense? Alright, fantastic. As always, when you make any changes there, just hit save changes. Alright, so now let's actually dive into the websites. So to do that, we're gonna click the My Websites up at the top. And you're gonna see in the middle of the screen the ability to edit agent site. So ignore the red banner because I'm in a lab. You're going to see, there's actually two ways you can actually edit your agent website. The first way is what I'm gonna refer to as the basic mode. That's what you're currently seeing. And this is just where you can easily make some changes to your agent website. Couple of the quick things I want you to see, over here on the left-hand side, we have three options. We have pages, we have add content, and then we have design studio. Under the pages that's selected, the only option we have right now is homepage. This is where you can kind of change a little bit of information about the homepage search, right? So if we click the search option, you can actually change the layout if you want it to look a little bit different. One of the biggest complaints we've always had when it came to our agent websites is that they all kind of look the same. Everyone's like, yeah, but mine looks like Jensen's. Well, now you can kind of change it a little bit. So you have some ability to select different layouts, if you choose to do that. The add content, this is just gonna be an easy way for you to add a blog post. We do have the ability for you to blog for your agent websites. We're not gonna dive too deep into this. And this would be a way if you're ever looking to increase your SEO, if you're looking to try to get more organic leads just via Google searching. A lot of that's gonna be tied to blog content, and not any blog content, unique blog content. So I know a lot of times agents will go and they'll pay for like a blogging service that generates blogs. Typically, that's okay. And a lot of times that same content is being shared amongst multiple people, and uniqueness and SEO is done through unique content, right? So you start generating blogs. Good tips for this would be simple. Maybe you're doing a shred day event, you're doing a pie giveaway, or you're doing giving away pumpkins or whatever it is real estate agents do to give stuff away. Maybe you actually do a blog post and then you post on Facebook and then you link back to your blog post. You can start driving some traffic to your website. The last quick thing we're going to talk about before we dive into expert mode is the design studio on the left-hand side. This is where you can do a couple different things. This is where you can start to change the look and the feel of your site, not the layout, but what fonts do you want to use? What color scheme do you want to use? And it's really simple. You can select your theme, edit the theme, and then you're gonna actually see a list of different color schemes that you can use. Maybe you want the mint light, which is a little bit of a green, right? And then if we scroll further down, we have a couple of different font options, and then a couple different styles around how buttons. Is it a soft corner? Is it a round corner? Is it a square? Right? You can adjust those and then save those changes. It just gives you the ability to just start to have a little bit more of a unique. Of course, at any given time, if you've made any of these changes, just make sure you hit publish. And generally, those changes should happen within 30 minutes. A lot of times it can be instant. I always tell people, anytime we make any changes, it can take about 30 minutes to an hour for those changes to actually show up. Are there any questions thus far? Pretty simple stuff, right? You have this ability to go in, start to modify and change your website. All right, so now, oh, go ahead, Jensen.
Can we make custom images in the banner?
100%. Not only can you do custom images in the banner, you could actually have a video that plays.
So it does take video.
100%. All right, so now we're gonna dive into expert mode, and that's gonna be clicking the expert mode button at the top. And now this is where I want to forewarn you. This is gonna look way more complicated than it is. Right, I'm gonna explain it a little bit as we go through it. It's gonna look way more complicated though, but once you kind of understand what you're seeing, it's not gonna look that scary. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna click expert mode. It's gonna take us into expert mode. Congratulations, you guys are now experts. It's exciting times. Couple quick things on what we're seeing here. Across the top, you're gonna see your name and it's gonna say personal if you're in your solo site. If you're a team, if you're on a team, if you're a rainmaker, someone with an unlimited or enhanced, you should be able to select it and then you will actually see your team website as well. Disregard everything that's in my list. It's because I'm in the region and I'm a part quite a few different market centers, so I see all their market center websites as well. But you have to be able to see here, you can see there's the Josh Boatman group, if I wanted to switch to my team. As we go further down, this is gonna show you where your website currently lives. This is that subdomain you may have selected earlier on the settings. When it comes to your subdomain, it's always gonna be something.kw.com. Couple things I always tell people, they're like, well, Josh, I have my own custom URL. I have joshrox.com, like that's what I wanna use. Well, if you wanna do that, you can always forward that domain name to your agent website if you wanna advertise joshrox.com, right? And if you do that, one of the things I would recommend is you change your subdomain to match your unique URL. So instead of this being joshboatman.kw.com, I would change it to joshrox.kw.com. Just from a consistency standpoint, if someone goes to joshrox.com, they're at least seeing the same URL in the address bar of a browser. Does that kind of make sense? We wanna just make it look as consistent as possible. As we go further down, this is our quick start section. This is how you can quickly start building certain things. If you want a more complicated blog post, you can click this to start building out a more complicated blog post that has more fields and different things. A custom page or landing page, this is how you build a custom page or a landing page. The biggest difference between the two, a custom page is a page that always lives on your website. It actually shows up in the menu. And a landing page is something that you're temporarily driving traffic to for a reason, right? To the right of that, we have our property landing page template. This would be something to explore a little bit later. And if you guys really are interested in diving deeper into this, this is kind of a class in of itself. Definitely reach out to Pam and Pam can put on a amazing class on this as well. Or I can even come back if you guys really want to go through that. But this is where you can build a unique page for your listing. Back in the day, we used to call this single listing websites, but it's something that's different than just the listing on your website. You can change the look, you can add more video, you can add more photos, there's a customizable map, there's customizable content. You can create a more luxury looking landing page to send leads to. Why would you want to do this versus just sending something to a listing page on your website? Well, this is kind of one of those things that I think your mileage may vary depending upon. Whenever we go through technology, the one thing I always like to think of is, how can I use this on a listing presentation, right? This would be one of those things that if I'm going on a luxury listing presentation, maybe what's luxury in this area, what, $700, $800, $900 million, right? Probably we're in Columbus, it's not enough from Dayton, it's like $300-400 grand. Luxury, luxury. Get new tires on it, everything. This would be where you could have an example of something you built out that you then show on that listing presentation. Does that make sense? Right, you separate yourself from every other real estate agent, because the reality of it is, at any listing presentation, you all do 90% of the same things. You all are promising 90% of the same service. You put it on the MLS, hold an open house, put it on Realtor.com, then it's on Zillow. Ooh, I'm gonna have photos come out, right? You know, back in the day, real estate agents used to take their own photos. It's true. I remember the floppy disk cameras and everything. Back in the day, you get like 8 photos. A couple of these other ones aren't really gonna matter to you. Template, download my app, you don't care about. The mortgage calculator is kind of cool if you wanna put an actual dedicated mortgage calculator on your website, it's kind of okay. Or skip the home valuation, because that's what we're gonna spend some time on here in a second. And then this template, why work with KW, this is just a templated like additional informational page that just has some informational boxes already laid out if you just wanna add. It doesn't have to be specifically why work with KW, you can customize it. As we scroll down, I just wanna quickly show you this list. This list is broken up into a couple different sections. So your default pages are pages that you really can't change much on. They live on the website. You really can't change much. They're designed to show content that you generated elsewhere. So your blog list page is where all those blogs you created is where your blogs show up, right? Your about the agent, that's where your about me that we talked about earlier in that marketing profile shows up. You don't change that information here. This is just where that information is displayed. That's why it's just a default page. Default modules, this is where I'm gonna get super nerdy on you guys, so I apologize. When we think of a website, and this will make a little bit more sense, a website is a container. And then within that container are what we refer to as modules. And a module is basically a self-contained piece of content. It could be a video, it could be a text block, right? Those are just what we refer to as modules. So our default modules are modules that already exist. So to give you, for instance, there's a form on here. This is your contact form, ignore the name, I tried to teach a class on how to get $1 for a holler or something and it didn't go well. But anyways, I digress. This is where it's the same form that is used on different pages, and when we do a module, the purpose of it is simple. I don't wanna have to change the text on the form if I have that same form on 7 different pages. I don't have to go to all 7 pages if I wanna change the title of it. I can change the module and then that changes it everywhere. Does that make sense? I'm hoping that that kind of makes sense. That's the least complicated way I can describe it. Alright, as we go further, custom pages, these are gonna be those custom pages up here that we have built, right? Those are those custom pages we have built. Custom modules will be modules that we have built that I wanna be able to quickly plug into multiple places of multiple websites or landing pages. Landing pages are gonna be those custom landing pages that I may have built. So hopefully all of that makes sense. I'm hoping that made sense to you guys. It'll, as we kind of go forward, it will make a little bit more sense. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna scroll all the way to the top. And we're gonna select template home valuation. And this is how easy it is for us to actually build a home valuation page. We click on it. Over here on the left-hand side, this is where we change everything, and on the right-hand side, this is where we preview those changes, right? It's that simple. So over the left-hand side, we have our home valuation, that's our page title. You can change this whatever you want to whatever you want. Keep in mind, typically a page title can either be displayed on the page. In this case, it's not, but more often, the page title is the name of the tab at the top of your browser. So for instance, you see these tabs right here. Websites, pipe command, custom pages, pipe, CMS, pipe, bright spot. That is the title of that page. That's what's shown on the tab. So just keep in mind, even though you're not seeing the word home valuation on the page, whatever you type here will be in the tab. As we go further down, you're gonna see the internal name. The internal name is just a way for you to identify what this page is. When I showed you that list of custom pages, of custom landing pages, this is where I identify what that page is, so I can later go back and edit it. Does that make sense? Right? It's just my identifier. It can be whatever you want. The only person that's gonna see it is you. The description, this could be for SEO purposes. This is basically the description of the page that when this gets submitted to a browser like Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever it is, and even in a sense, a lot of times with like AI. Right, it's going to be able to read the description of the page to determine if it should send people there based upon searches. So you can leave it blank if you want. What I tell people ultimately to do, the easiest thing to do, especially with the power of AI, is just go to ChatGPT or Google Gemini or whatever AI you're using and just say, hey, I built a home valuation page for my website. Can you create a SEO friendly description for me? Right, and you may want to be more specific. If you want to say like Columbus, Ohio, or list different like cities, like make sure it's SEO friendly for these cities, so that way you're getting those types of search results. It's just that simple. Copy it and paste it in. So the page header here, this is kind of where we can kind of control what we're seeing at the top. So for instance, if I say page heading, you'll actually see it's going to put a little box up here. Here you can see where that title is that we did earlier. Right, this is where I could upload images if I wanted some additional images, do different things like that. If I just wanted clear images, I could hide the title. And then it will disappear, right? And then I can upload images. I'm not gonna go through all of that, just wanted to kind of show you what that's about. You can kind of ignore the team lead, that's not that important. For now, we're just gonna leave page header on none, but I just want you to understand like that's what that section does if you wanted to add some additional images. And then finally, right below that is our page contents. And this is where we see our single module that has been added that we talked about earlier. This is our home value search component. If we wanted to change any information within any of these modules, we just go to the actual module itself, click that little down arrow to the left. And now there's only 2 things we can change with the home valuation search. I can change the title. Here you can see what the default is. You can see it over on the right-hand side. And then the sub description, right? Let's find a home, let's find your home to get started, right? I could change that to whatever I want. Right? If I wanted to. I could also add additional modules to this, right? So this is just gonna show you this. There's a lot here. We're not gonna dive into any of them really. We click add module and you're gonna see a list of all the different types of self-contained content blocks that you can add and then customize. The biggest thing to keep in mind when we talk about our specific websites, modules are just content blocks stacked on content blocks. Does that make sense? It's blocks on top of blocks on top of blocks. You're not putting two blocks together, you're stacking them, and if you want information next to each other, you're gonna need to look for a content block that shows that information. For instance, you could even add a video content block, a video module that you could walk through the home valuation process, why it's so important, or what to set expectations around what those results are gonna be. So I just wanted to show you that, super easy, there's tons of them here, feel free to get in here and play around. And then the last thing we'll mention here, this is not gonna be a big deal, you're typically never gonna check this, especially for a custom page, but this would be, do you wanna hide it in the navigation? Are you creating a custom page that you don't want anyone to be able to find, other than if you send a direct link? Generally, the answer is no, right, so we won't check that box. So if we're happy with our title, ready to discover your home's value, our sub description, if we're happy with all of that, we're happy with our page title, the next thing we're gonna do is just hit publish. So when we hit publish, give me some errors, like a little bit of errors. It's because I've done this class multiple times, so give me 1 second, let me adjust this. Alright, so the page has now been published. And like I said, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for it to officially be live, but hopefully it's already live. And then the couple quick things I would mention is over across the top. You'll notice on this left-hand side, we have this main section. This is where we made changes. This is where we edited things. And then to the right, you're gonna see URLs, right? This is where we're actually gonna see the link to our page. So when I hover my mouse over this /home-valuation5, it has a 5 on it because I've already built this page a bunch of times. Yours shouldn't say that. If you look in the lower left-hand corner, down here, when I hover over it, you'll see that the actual website lives at joshuaboatman.kw.com/home-valuation5. I could right click on it, open it up in a new tab, and and there's my page, it's live, so people can use it. The other thing I want to show you under this URL section though, is how you could create a shorter one if you wanted to. We could add, under this URLs, if we hit add, I can type in HV. Right? And then hit publish, and now my URL, in addition to the main one, home-valuation5, that's still gonna work. But also someone could go to joshuaboatman.kw.com/HV. Right, if you wanted a shorter URL that's easier for you to remember, easier for you to tell people in conversation, to type it in a text message, so you don't like, wait, was there a hyphen, was there not a hyphen? Valuation, that's kind of a weird word to spell, there's like, it's written to spell, it's like penguin, right? So you can add some additional links if you want to. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do one just to kind of show you. And I'm gonna hit publish because I already have a HV one. And when I go to URLs, both these pages work, right? If someone were to go to the H/HV1, they'll get driven to my home valuation page. And at this point, we have launched your home valuation page. Are there any questions up until this point? Okay. Let's try this again. Why did the Energizer Bunny get arrested? He was charged with battery. It's a little sensitive topic, right? I mean, there's emotional ties there that could like trigger someone, so hopefully everyone's okay. If you need counseling, Dayla's right there. She's team leader and counselor, sometimes. Don't go to Jensen.
No.
I think it works.
Don't, but anyways, alright, so your home valuation page is live. So the next thing I wanna show you is what happens when we actually have someone fill out a home valuation page. So we're gonna go to my page, right, and you can drive people to this page multiple ways, it could be direct links on Facebook, you could turn this into a QR code, you could text message it out. You could, put it in a postcard, turn it into a QR code, put it on a postcard, print that postcard and send it to a neighborhood and say, hey, here's what your home's worth, check this out, right? However you drive traffic to it, we'll talk about some strategies to do that here in a second. But it's really simple, they're gonna be driven to this page, and then they're gonna enter their home address, someone give me a home address.
7950 Clark State Road.
Alright, so as they start to type it in, you're gonna notice it starts to populate. They're then gonna select it. They're then gonna hit let's go. And the first thing it's going to do is prompt them to put in their information. Right, so in this case, let me just do Columbus class. Right, that's the phone number. Right, they're checking the boxes, all those good things, right? And then they're gonna click the get my evaluation. So I wanna explain before I click it, what could happen. Right, they're gonna get one of a handful of results. They're gonna click get my home valuation, and it's gonna pop up, if we can provide evaluation, it's gonna pop up evaluation, but it's gonna provide a valuation range. It's not gonna be like a stupid C estimate where it says your home is worth $5,672.52. Right, no, it's gonna be a price range, if we can provide it. If we can't provide the range, it will say, hey, we were unable to provide a range. Right, super simple, it either gives you a range or it doesn't. Now, couple things, when you look at the range, you may be intimately familiar with that area, and you're like, oh my gosh, that house is worth way more than what's being shown. Or, that house is worth way less than what's being shown. Your first instinct as a real estate agent is gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna send my client to this because it's inaccurate. Right, I don't want this to be inaccurate. Well, your clients go to Zillow, and they do the Z estimate, and the Z estimate typically is inaccurate, right? Doesn't stop them from going. I wanna be super clear, the power of this tool is not in the accuracy of the tool. Because here is a truth bomb for you. If we could develop a tool that could accurately, within 100% guarantee it provided the exact valuation of what a home is worth. Not sure what you guys do anymore. You're like, let's not put you out of business, right? Because AI is gonna be writing contracts before you know it. So the purpose of this tool is not the accuracy, it's to gather the intent. Does that make sense? So let's say you do get a result and it says, and you know this house is not worth that much. You know that area, it says the house is worth way too much. That's great. Because now you can reach out to that client, you can have a conversation around that. And you can start to have a conversation with them and say, hey, out of curiosity, I know you did the home valuation tool, and it said your home was worth between $500,000 and $600,000, and you know the home is only worth 350 tops. You ask the question, how do you feel about that? What a powerful tool and insight that gives you, because if your client says, I thought it would have been worth more. Well, then now you kind of know how you need to approach the potential listing presentation with that client. Right? If they say, oh man, I was surprised it was worth that much, I thought it was gonna be worth 300. Now you know how to approach that conversation. One of the most powerful pieces of advice I've ever gotten, like just recently at a family reunion, an agent in our team, or in our region, Peter Chabris, he doesn't do listing presentations anymore, but he said one of the things he would always do is the pre-conversation before a listing presentation. And before he would go out, he would say, hey, by the way, I was looking your home up on Zillow, and it says your home is worth this much, how do you feel about that? I looked your home up on Redfin, and Redfin said your home was worth this much, how do you feel about that? And he does that because he knows they've already done it. Why is he gonna wait to show up and then have an unrealistic conversation with them if they think their home is worth more than it really is based upon what Zillow says? If they think it's worth that or more, when he shows up on a listing presentation, he can show up prepared to show comps in the area, to show them truly what their home's valuation is worth. That's what this tool does. Does that make sense? If the price is too low and you're like, oh, that home was worth way more than that, that's okay. You call them up and you say, hey. I noticed our home valuation tool said this, and honestly, it's just a guide. I'm pretty familiar with your area, and I believe your home is worth way more than that. I would love to come out and give you a home equity report. Right? Or if it doesn't provide a value, cool, you can call and say, hey, sometimes with the way market conditions and areas and how different things, the metrics, we don't have access to all the metrics, maybe there's not a lot of turnover in that area. I'd love to come out and give you a home equity report. Does that make sense? The reason I talk through this is because the moment I hit get my home valuation, whatever pops up, typically, that's where most real estate agents are like, well, that's not accurate, I'm not doing this, I'm not using this tool. And you're missing the purpose of the tool. Does that make sense to everyone in this room? I wanna be super clear before I click this button. Fantastic, alright, let's get my home valuation. Oh, there we go, now I don't know if it's worth that or not, could be, could not be. Right? It's be worth between 671,000 and 698,000. How awesome is that? Cool. Now, what has happened is simple. They've driven to a page, they plugged in their information ahead of time, they've clicked that get home valuation, and as of right now, they are in my command database. Right, there's this option where they can connect with me to learn more, they can give me a little message. They don't have to send this for me to get an alert that someone has filled out a home valuation report on my website. Does that make sense? They can send an additional information and then that will show up. But now I've generated a lead that I can then call. Is there any questions regarding this? Just,
Yes, I just submitted it and I did not get a notification,
it'll take about 10-15 minutes.
but it's in there, but there's no notification.
Are you saying it's not getting a notification in like the bell
And the
icon?
billing,
So more than likely, we wanna take a look at your notifications and see if they're turned on. The right notifications are selected, we can take a look at that after the class. Couple things, this is one of the few things you will get an email notification on as well. And if you have your push notifications turned on your command app, hopefully everyone's using the command app, you'll get a push notification with there as well. But it can take sometimes for those notifications to be pushed out, it's not instant, right? It's not like Folgers coffee, right? No, okay.
Is it, does that have anything to do with a team versus individual account?
So, great question, so when you are, so we're talking everything from a solo perspective. On a team, the answer will determine how they got to that. So let's do this, let me get through this, and then I'll address teams at the very end, if that makes sense. And how that differs a little bit. Alright, super simple, right? I'm not gonna go into my command. Let's go ahead and let's take a look. Close about publishing. Let's see if my home valuation, there it is, my home valuation link came in. On this class, right? I can click on view contact. It's going to take me to that contact. I can see what showed up. I can actually scroll down and I can see, hey, it was the reported range was 671, 698, and this is the address they put in. Right? It's telling me everything. If it was unable to provide an address range, it would say so. It would say, hey, here's the address, but we are unable to provide a range, right? The other thing I want you to note is here. The lead source is home valuation, parentheses with site in between, right? You can see the lead source is here as well. This is important because this is how, if you notice the next thing that happens here, actually it automatically got added to a smart plan. So what's really cool, what we can now do inside of command, I can see this lead come in, and if I want to, I can tie a smart plan to it, to have a smart plan that automatically triggers to send them an email or send them a text message, or maybe just to create a task for me to follow up with them in 2 days and place a phone call, right? It's however you want that next cadence to be, we can build that, and I'm gonna show you how to do that next. But I wanna be super clear, if you're like, Josh, I'm not doing smart plans, right? This is all you need. You now have a tool that you can start just throwing on Facebook. Putting on QR codes that you can just drive traffic to, and you're gonna get a notification that you can then take action on. Any questions before I show you how we can set up a smart plan to trigger this? Oh, fantastic. Every time I ask that question, and there's no questions, you know what I think? I'm really good at this. Like,
I have a question.
Can we have someone removed day 11? How does that
You
work?
wouldn't be the first who's asked that.
Alright, so this is super simple, alright, the first thing we're gonna talk around is we'll show you, we're gonna build a smart plan. I actually built a smart plan that you guys can download and you can play around with if you want as a basis. So I'll walk you through what my smart plan does, just so you can kind of see, it's not super fancy. But you need to have a smart plan built before we can tie it to a home valuation lead, does that make sense? So we're just gonna quickly walk through that. So to go to smart plans, it's really simple over here on the left hand side, right? We're gonna click smart plans. And then if you want to download my smart plan, I believe it should still be in the library, we'll find out, let me look here to just make sure, yep, okay. So you're just gonna go to library in the upper right hand corner. In the upper left hand corner here, where it says search, my smart plan name, drop that down and select author name. And just type in my last name, Boatman. I've been thinking about dropping the O. Joshua back. There's one time I went, I can't remember, I was staying at a hotel somewhere and I said, they said, oh, Mr. Boatman, I said, no, it's Batman, the O is silent. They didn't laugh, and I thought, that's really funny. That's really funny, I'm just wasted on people sometimes. So anyways, you're gonna see a list of all the different smart plans that I have launched. And if you scroll down, you're gonna see a home valuation follow-up, 4 texts, 3 emails, 1 phone call, right? It's a smart plan designed for automated follow-up for leads that come through the home valuation tool on your agent team site. This is basically going to do 9 touches over 16 days. It's a lot. All right, follow up, you speed the lead, try to get in front of people. Because typically, if someone's filling out their home valuation tool, it's either your client just seeing how accurate your evaluation of their home was, or it's someone who might be interested in learning more about selling their home or what their home is worth. And to add it to your smart plan, feel free to just click add smart plan, it'll add it to your library. Just as a quick rundown for smart plan steps as well, if you click the view steps option, here you can actually see a list of what happens if you want. So you can see it creates a touch task, I send an email, send a text, I send another text, an email, text, create a task, send a text, all these different things. Right? We're not gonna go into the smart plan. If you need to learn how to edit and customize the smart plan, Pamela's phenomenal. Pamela can do a follow-up class to help you build your own smart plan. I just wanted you to have something that we can tie things to. I wrote it, well, mostly ChatGPT wrote it, to be honest, but I think it's pretty good. I gave it some insight. Once we have it in our library, right? The next thing we need to do is now go to our lead routing rules. This is really simple.
We
We'll go-
download it, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead and download. Yep, absolutely. Click the add to smart plans library, whatever it is, add smart plans. That way it's just in your library, so you have something to select. All right,
Not to be needy. But in my library, when I go to smart plans name, it does not do a drop down for author name.
Just click on the word, not the arrow.
yeah, sorry, yeah, you gotta click on the name, not the arrow. I
Over
apologize.
to your left.
So see how here the arrow doesn't work, which is.
I struggled for half a second on that too, and I just finally tapped.
Totally, let me know that seems,
I know, but I'm trying to live, you're taking her back.
hold on.
We're gonna have to do this all over again.
That's dumb.
This all over again.
Just do a search for my name and then it's home valuation.
Home valuations.
Probably. Does everyone have the smart plan downloaded? I just wanna make sure we're good. Thanks, just give me 1 star. I appreciate you. Well, you know what, Jensen's a good dude. He's a good dude. All right, so.
You wanted me thrown out of here, how am I gonna do it? Like-
I know, right? Don't act like that's not how relationships work, Jensen. All right, so. We downloaded our smart plan, now we wanna tie it to this lead source, so that way when that lead comes in, it immediately triggers that smart plan. This is incredibly easy to do. We'll go in the upper right hand corner, we'll click our name. We're gonna go down and we're gonna select segments. Over on the left-hand side, we're gonna select command settings. We're going to select contacts. And then we're gonna select lead management. So upper right-hand corner, settings. Then on the left-hand side, command settings. Contacts under command settings, and under contacts, lead management. And then in the upper right-hand corner, we're gonna select create rule. Here is where we'll give it a title. We can call it home valuation, lead, rule. Right? And then it's gonna say, hey, which lead source is this rule for? Remember, I pointed that out. It's home valuation with the word site in parentheses. So when I go to my lead sources, I'm gonna see a list of all the lead sources that I have inside of command, whether I created it or they came with default. When I start typing in home valuation, you're gonna see a couple of them. But here's the one we're looking for, the one with site in parentheses. Does that make sense? Because that's what we saw when the lead came in. Right? I'm adding that lead rule, that's super cool. I can have it automatically apply a tag as well. If I wanted to, maybe there's a future where I wanna see like, hey, I wanna quickly be able to filter by all my home valuations. Right? So I can sit here and type in a tag, home valuation. If that tag doesn't exist, command's really cool, right? I can just sit here and tell it to create that tag right now. And I'm gonna give it the color of green. Perfect, so now that lead comes in, it's also gonna get tagged as home valuation. So I can quickly filter by that if I wanted to via a tag. And then the last piece is the assign to smart plans. I click on that, it's gonna show me a list of all my smart plans. I don't have to scroll through the list. I can just start typing in, there is my home valuation follow-up. Click that box, hit create rule. And now, actually, let me get rid of this one. And now you're gonna see the rule is at the top. You also are gonna notice, and I'm gonna give you a quick crash course on this lead management section, just so you have some context on how this works. This is a lead step page, and what that basically means is this. Imagine every lead that comes in to command goes through this page. Regardless if you have a lead rule set up or not. And it starts with the very first rule. And it evaluates against that rule. And it says, hey, does the lead match this rule? If it does, execute whatever this rule says and then leave this page. If it doesn't match that rule, then it would go to the one below it. Right, so every lead is gonna get validated against every rule in this page. It's within seconds, microseconds, right? It's not gonna take a long time. But I just wanna have some context for you and what that means is if you ever have two sources, two different lead management rules, and you have one up here, and then you create a new one and it's at the bottom, it's gonna trigger off of the first one, not the second one. So you just wanna be careful as you're creating future lead rules. Does that make sense? Super simple, super easy, and now it's done. Right? Now someone goes to that home valuation page, they fill it out. Not only are you gonna get notified, you're gonna receive an email, you're gonna receive a push notification. They will then enter command, they will be assigned a smart plan, they'll be tagged appropriately. And they're gonna start receiving emails and text messages, or you're gonna get prompted to send them a phone, to place a phone call. It's that simple. Yes, ma'am.
So will it only run one rule if it finds one rule that applies, it won't continue on?
That's correct. Once it finds a rule that it matches, it exits the system.
Okay.
That's the biggest key. That's why I mentioned that, because it's just, if you have multiple rules that apply, whatever's the first rule in the list takes precedent. Awesome. Any questions regarding this? Go ahead, Jensen.
So I think I've answered my own question, but for the good of the room, I might
Sure.
say. So I've been kind of following along ever since you started, and I kind of got a little twisted because my computer was about to die, and so I moved over, and then I'm looking up here and I'm going,
Sure.
your screen doesn't look like mine. And then when we just went through that, I can get to lead management and create rule. Mine's on the left side, not on the right side, and I'm like, why does my stuff look different than yours? But I think it's because I'm logged in as T.
That's correct. So that's a great call out. So in teams, lead rules are gonna look a little bit different when you have a team, because
You can assign.
you can assign specific rules to specific team members. So I'll give you a quick example, I'll switch to my team. And it's the same process. Right, we're going to lead management, it's the same process, but when I hit create a route, right, it's different because in one thing it's called, and because you're only a team of one in a solo command, so the lead can only go one place, right? But when you're in a team, we create a route, it functions the same way, you can give it a title like home valuation, but now you can set a routing rule. And this is where you can determine, hey, if we're, and to your point, Rachel, you had asked, how does this function with like a team? If it's just a generic person that went to the team website and they didn't go through someone's referral link, which I'll mention in a second for you guys, so you can kind of see the difference. This will then hit this lead route, and then based upon whatever rules we plug in here, we'll determine who gets the lead. Right, I could do random, where it's randomly gonna give the lead to a group of agents that I select later. I can do weighted random, which basically says, hey, I want it to be kind of random, but I wanna give Jensen 60% more chance to get the lead versus, Rachel only giving her 30% and Josh only gets 10% because he's an idiot, right? Jump ball, as you imagine, it goes to everyone all at once, whoever claims the lead gets it first, right? And then you round robin.
10 a.m. is only.
You have round robin, which is the same idea, it goes to one person, then it goes to the next person, and then like someone kind of gets moved to the top and they get the next lead first, does that make sense? And then of course, if you want it to go directly to a specific agent, you can assign that to an agent. And of course, if my explanations weren't great, they're good enough, this little I to the right of each one of these will explain it just as well. So if I hit assign to agent, for instance, when I click next, I'll designate the lead source and pick the agents, but let's just say, for instance, let's do jump ball. The route schedule, this is where I set when is the lead gonna go out, when will it go out to people, right? Once again, on a solo team, on a solo account, you're getting the lead, it's yours, right? But here you can actually say, hey, I only want leads to go out on certain days, maybe I don't want leads to go out on Saturday and Sunday, and maybe I wanna set a time frame. So that way the lead isn't dinging someone's phone at 3 AM in the morning, right? Cause my grandpa would always say if his phone he got a text message at 3 AM, he probably thought I was in the hospital. Or needed bailed out, and I used to tell him both things can be true. But, couple things with this. When you set this time frame, it doesn't mean that the lead doesn't get assigned, it just goes into a waiting period outside of this window. So said another way, if a lead does come in at 3 AM, it sits and it waits. And then it gets sent to the lead route at 8 AM. Or it gets sent out to people at 8 AM, does that make sense? So it's not like the lead doesn't go anywhere, it just waits until that schedule turns on. Of course, then the claim to action, this is where you actually say, hey, if we're doing certain leads, like say the jump ball. This is where you say, hey, this is how often people have to claim the lead. If I'm doing random or round robin or something, like someone gets the lead and they only have so many minutes to claim it before it goes to the next person. So this is where you can kind of designate that time frame. If a lead goes through every single person and no one claims it, it tells you right here, it will return to the lead pool that's in the team account unassigned for someone to do something with it. Does that make sense? When we click next, right, the lead source functions the same way, right? We're just looking for home valuation, we're selecting the site. The biggest difference here, to your point, Jensen, like the agent section, and this is where I select the people on the team that I want to be a part of that particular lead route. And when I do that, I can then of course do the auto tags and the same smart plans the same way. And assign those leads tags and smart plans when they get assigned. Super simple, super easy. The biggest call out, and this is a great call, thank you for bringing this up, Jensen, I would have completely glossed over it. If you are a rainmaker, there is a chance that someone may not claim leads. Right, I said that, if someone doesn't claim the lead, then it goes to the lead route unassigned. What I would do is always create a rule that's for, and I would just call it like catch-all. Right, and I would have it assigned to an agent, right? And I don't care all times, all days, I just want it assigned to an agent. The lead source is gonna be all leads. You should be able to select that, that's weird, I don't think you can. I'll have to look into that. But anyways, you should do the select all. You're gonna select yourself or your admin or your operations person or someone who this lead's gonna get assigned to. And I don't even, you don't need to tag it, if you could tag it unassigned or something if you need to review it. But the purpose of this would be when you create this rule, you're gonna wanna make sure that this rule is all the way at the very, very, very bottom of the list. And the reason being that if a lead comes in, and no one on the team claims it, you don't want that lead to not be followed up with. So you want someone to be assigned that particular lead. If I'm building a catch-all rule, this is outside of the scope of this class in a sense, but I'm building a simple smart plan that creates a task for whoever is responsible for that lead. It just creates a task for them to say, hey, you have a lead that you need to take care of, and you need to call, you need to figure out, you need to find someone on the team to take this lead because someone didn't take it. Does that make sense? That's just, you put it all the way to the very bottom. Alright, so up until this point, we've covered pretty much everything, right? You've easily built a home valuation page. You saw how easy it is for people to drive, for people to fill it out. When a lead comes in, we can have it trigger a smart plan that you can then either send text messages, emails, place phone calls. You understand how the home valuation, how the home valuation page works and why the value isn't as important as the intent behind the request. Are there any other questions before I dive into a few other things regarding teams? Alright, super cool. The one thing that I will mention when it comes to that home valuation page, and Rachel brought up a great point. If someone just generically goes to the home valuation page, that will then hit a lead route and won't be assigned it. And if you are an agent on a team or you're a rainmaker and you have agents on your team, one thing you got, and you're using the team websites inside of Command, everyone has a unique referral. And what that referral link basically means this, they have a unique link that they can share to the website, to any page on the website. That when someone interacts with that link, the lead automatically is assigned to them on the team. So said another way, I post a link for a new listing, and it may be Jensen's listing, and I'm on Jensen's team, right? He is the listing agent, but if someone accesses it through my link on our team website, it's branded to me. It's not Jensen's mug on the right hand side, it's my picture on the right hand side. And if someone fills that out, while the lead does go into the team, it's a team lead, the team owns it. It's automatically assigned to me because it came through my referral link. Does that make sense? So this is really cool. To get your own referral link to see what it looks like, you're actually gonna have to do it from within your personal command. So you can just, if you're a rainmaker, you can do this the same way, and then also show your agents on your team. It's really simple. When we go into personal command, we're gonna go back into that website applet in the lower left-hand corner. We're gonna click settings across the top. When we scroll down, you're gonna see your team referral links. This will only exist if you are an agent on a team. If you're just a solo agent, you're not on a team, you're not gonna have this section. And then it's super simple. Here's the team name, and here is the team website URL. When we copy this and we paste this, you're gonna notice it sends them to the team website, joshuaboatmangroup.kw.com. But then it includes this little bit of unique information. This is my unique quid, my KW UID. This is how it's going to identify that this is my referral. So when someone comes here, and they start to fill this out, all these links will be branded to me. Notice how it's right here. Notice when I click on this, it still has that quid on the end of this list. So it will be branded to me. Does that make sense? And any and all those links will function the same way. So my home valuation page, if I want to share my home valuation page and have it branded to me, I need to make sure I go to the page using my unique URL. And then go to the menu to grab that home valuation page to copy that URL. Does that make sense? Justin?
If they come through using your quid, and start messing around, is that going to set client a tag with the team command?
It doesn't sign. Tag, but it'll be signed, you'll be able to see that they're assigned to that particular person.
That's the
Not off of that.
and you grab somebody from Facebook that you're connected with on Facebook, and then they come through, now they are assigned to you. And then they get fed, are they only getting fed into your personal?
No, it shows up in the team,
Okay,
but assigned to me, so here's an example. So when I'm in my team contacts, right, this is my team contacts, I can always go to filters. And then when I scroll down, I can actually go to, where is it? Oh, I'm not in my team, I'm in my personal, that's why. Let me go to my team, I can actually go right here, I can go to all agents, and here I can filter by just contacts that are assigned to that particular team member.
Okay.
And even more so, I can even add a qualifier, I could go filters and I could add an additional tag, and if I had that home valuation tag created here. Right, it's not, this would be my team, I built it in my solo, but I could do that. And now I would just see leads that are assigned to this person that have that home valuation tag. And if later I wanna make it even easier to go back, if I'm referencing this in the future, I can always create this as a unique smart view. And just say, this is, KW home valuation leads. Right?
Mhm.
So that way I don't have to apply that filter ever again, I just always go to my smart view and select it and it'll apply. The assignee and the filter.
but if you're using that quid in any
Sure.
sense, not just a whole valuation, it's still gonna get assigned to that agent.
As long as, with one qualifier, as long as it's someone that's not currently in the database.
Okay.
Right, so if I'm already in the database and I'm already assigned to you, and then I click on someone on your team member's website or link, even though I fill something out, it's not gonna then immediately assign me to him. I'm already yours, does that make sense?
Yeah, but they're also not going to, if they come through and they're not doing the home valuation, there's no forced registration unless they've looked at something and you have that forced registration turned on.
100%.
Okay,
No. That's the idea, and ideally, once they sign up, they won't have forced registration because they'll be logged into the account or using the app or whatever it is.
Sure.
And that, for the most part, is the down and dirty of the home valuation tool through command. Are there any questions, concerns, criticisms, compliments?
Very
I mean,
good.
was it helpful?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I will tell you, this is the start of a lot of things with inside of command on how easy this was, because when this first came out. It wasn't as easy to launch your own valuation tool. So we're starting to see more and more of this technology come out, and it's just gonna be simple and easy for you guys to start taking advantage of it. This home valuation tool, like a lot of agents, this has saved them money, and this also has replaced other things. If you've ever heard of HomeBot, HomeBot was a big popular when I helped a lot of agents use HomeBot, and it was the same idea, but you had a lender partner and it cost money, and now you have the same ability to run ads. For instance, imagine this, you could run a Facebook ad and create what we call an evergreen ad, which isn't tied to anything, but just, hey, curious what your home's worth in Easton, Ohio, whatever it is, click this link. Right, and you could just run a Facebook ad that drives people to your home valuation page just to generate interest and leads and things like that. So that's what I have for you guys today. Now, if you're okay with it, I think that they also wanted me to do just general command Q&A, so I can do some general command Q&A. Right? So anyone have any questions for Josh? Jensen,
okay.
next question.
So I've been really trying to. I've tried so many things outside of command to keep myself organized and make, whatever, and all of them fail. So I'm really just trying to stay in command.
All that,
And so I've been really utilizing the task list. And assigning You know, I just finished reading the one thing for literally probably the fifth time, and so I want to know what is my one thing on my task list. And I know that I can assign the priorities. But how do I make it default from high to low? And so that I don't have to go in there and toggle
And apply the filter.
and apply the filter or
Interesting.
do the priorities, is that possible?
As of right now, it is not. That is a great call out. There's not a way to set that as a default. That is a great call out. That's something, let me make a note of that and we'll provide some feedback on that.
Thank you.
That is a great opportunity. And this actually brings up something else that I'll mention, just so you guys are, if you're not aware. Sometimes you'll come across things like that, where you'll sit there and you'll think like, hey, it'd be really cool if Command did this.
Mhm.
I would really love it if Command did this. There's actually a path for you guys to provide your direct feedback to the developers at Austin, right? And it's a portal called ideas.kw.com. Right, and actually, I'll pull it up here just so you guys can kind of see it. It's really cool. You go to ideas.kw.com, you gotta log in. It's super simple, right? It tells you exactly what to do, how to post an idea, and it tells you when not to submit an idea, right? If something like, here's a great example. Not being able to click that stupid little arrow for the smart plans, you have to click the word. That's not something you would submit on idea. That's a bug. That's not a. Does that make sense? You don't submit bugs, you still have avenues to report bugs to support to get stuff fixed, but this is if you want something different. There's just two things that I ask whenever you go to ideas.kw.com. The first thing you should do is actually search to see if your idea already exists. Because what's really cool about ideas, this is actually based upon votes. This is like your vote actually matters, right? You can see, here's for instance, this idea has 99 votes. The worst thing you can do is have this great idea, not spend 2-3 minutes to search for it and instead create it, and then you only have a single vote. Because if the votes matter in such a sense that if there's only one idea that has one vote and it's been sitting there for 6 months and it has one vote, it's not that they're not gonna look into it, it's just not gonna be a priority to implement. But if you can get as little as 30 to 40 votes. Right, this is what's so cool about this portal, it's so underutilized because agents will either go, they'll submit an idea without seeing if it already exists, and now we have 50 of the same idea with one vote versus one idea with 50 votes, right? They don't put that, the votes doesn't have to be 500, 600, 700. You get 40 to 50, you have 25 people in this room, maybe 20? You get, how many people are in this market center? Probably what, over 100? 300, I don't know, I don't know numbers, I'm not an accountant. Like imagine this, you got everyone to vote your idea and you did it in such a quick period of time, that would actually move waves at KWRI. Actually more so than if I were to go and do it, so think about this, if you have a great idea, search it, see if it exists, if it doesn't, create it, talk to your leadership team. Right, and maybe at the next office meeting, they can throw up a QR code of your idea. And everyone can whip out their phones and take 13 seconds to click and vote for your idea, so we can actually start to move and make some waves with it. Of course, I will always be a feedback for provide the feedback, but I always tell you, this is tremendous. Like if you use this portal, they are paying attention to this. So just as a great call out, but yeah, that's a great suggestion, Jensen. I'll create an idea, see if it doesn't exist, and I'll send it to you for you to vote on.
Okay, cool. I have one more that probably falls into the same kind of.
Sure, go ahead and ask it.
So now I'm on my task list and I've got my DTD2 in my task list at a medium priority.
Mhm.
So what I wanna do is I wanna just go through and start just banging through all of the people that are on that list. But I like to work off my desktop. I know a lot of people work off their phone, but I wanna be able to click on the client. And then I wanna be able to click on their phone number,
Okay,
and then I wanna be able to use my phone. Not a FaceTime call, because that's weird. If you get a FaceTime, because it rings differently on the clients and. I wanna use my phone just like as if you were in the app. And you click call, if you click on their phone number,
Sure,
it will say call using, you know,
sure,
this device.
sure.
But why can't, if I'm on the same network, why can't my desktop version of Command connect with my phone? Because it can connect with my phone via FaceTime. Why can't it?
So
So
that's,
it's to create a dialer.
sure, sure,
So,
sure,
and
sure,
then,
sure,
and now,
sure.
and it's logged,
So,
it's logged.
you have Mac, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not 100% familiar with Mac, so let me ask you this. On a Mac in general, can you click on any phone number in your Safari browser on your Mac and then it dials from your phone? Because what that sounds like to me is more of not a limitation of command, but a limitation of Macs, and then do you have an answer to this question?
Yes, I did, if I use it all day long. You have to have Twilio number.
Right, I know that I can do the Twilio.
He wants it to actually.
I want it to
connect
come
with his
through
phone.
my.
So when you dial the number, it asks you on your thing, do you want it to come through the phone or your computer? And when you click the Bluetooth thing, it tells you which one you want to use, so you just click it.
Oh, he's wanting to trigger it from the desktop.
I'm triggering it from I know I can do it in the app. And I
I
just,
don't need to do it in the app, it comes from my computer to my.
Yeah, I know, I love this.
I'll come talk to you after the class.
Yeah, I wanna see that as well.
Okay.
That would be super cool. That's a solution.
Well, and that's why I said, is there a solution to that?
Yeah. I mean, what I would tell you, on a Windows computer, I'm unaware of one, but with Apple products, because there's such an integration between iPhones and Macs. And you can do phones and all that from everywhere, possibly,
Okay,
and maybe it sounds like there's a solution back there, so I would love to learn more about that as well. Great
Okay, cool.
question. You had a question, ma'am?
Should we be cleaning out our old landing pages, like if we do landing pages or that are property specific, like are those just floating around out there, are they causing any problems, like?
I wouldn't say it causes any problems, so I would say your mileage may vary with that. I think for me, landing pages serve a purpose, the idea of a landing page, it's there for a purpose and then I remove it. Now, to be said though, I would probably want, like, if I build a really nice, like, couple property landing pages. I would probably not just immediately delete them, because I want something to point to on a listing presentation. So said another way, would I keep every single one that I've ever created in the history of time? No. But if I have listed some amazingly gorgeous properties that have like something that just shows up really well, the page shows up really well, that I could use to point to on a listing presentation to really get a seller excited, I may keep those. So that way I have an example of what I can do.
And another question, if I may. When I typed into Chat GPT to come up with things that would drive SEO, it meant, well, we didn't even talk today. It mentioned embedding a map, so can we embed maps as a search?
So on the property landing pages, you can have a map, but in general, on other pages, no.
Okay,
Now, what they're referring to, well, actually, let me take a step back. I'm sorry, let me answer that different. They're not probably referring to like a Google map.
yeah, I don't want like a picture.
Yeah, they're not,
map
sorry, I
on the
apologize.
page. I
What
just-
they're referring to is mapping, so gosh, what's the best way to explain this? Your website has a list of hierarchies, right? So when someone goes to joshboatman.com and then you go off /, like if there's a map.
Well, this is literally saying embed a map of your service area.
Oh, okay.
That way, if somebody, so Columbus is big, obviously, and we all service different parts of Columbus. So to be able to put in a map of the area, we certainly, I just wondered if that's possible.
Not particularly, not on any of those pages itself. You could have like service areas like within the description itself, but not an actual map.
Well, I don't want a map.
Yeah, but you could just, within that property description, you could just include your service areas.
Yes. The other thing is what you're typing into that description is showing. Is there a way to hide that?
It shouldn't
looks silly.
show on the. Unless something's changed, it shouldn't show.
It's showing, at least in my preview mode, it's showing. And then it's also still saying Keller Williams Excel Realty, even though I've checked literally everything on my settings to be not, yeah.
Not to interject too much,
Yeah.
but there were two ways to do this, so I added a page and I also added a module on my homepage. And it did show on my module on my homepage and it didn't show on the separate page.
Yeah.
So I had to do it with
Yeah.
my-
Now,
on the module on my.
let me dive into that, because that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to happen, so let me dive deeper into that. And then as far as you showing up as Excel, that's an easy fix for us to fix, as well. So, did you show her where to go in the admin section?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. For those of you who, if you were in that same situation, super simple, when you're on your expert mode, click admin in the upper left hand corner. Or your menu button, and then go to organization site. And you can actually change. Like here, for instance, here's my market center name, you could actually change if you wanted your name to show up a little bit different as well, you can do it as well. There, this is where, if you're curious, you could have your Google link, if you're doing analytics. The thing you don't ever wanna change, don't change this, don't change your quit. You have the ability to, please don't change it. But yeah, let me follow up and let me look into that, because that description shouldn't do that, that's interesting.
Josh, is there a reason why that's not populating through the marketing profile though?
What,
The
the
brokerage,
brokerage?
yeah.
Gosh, here's the best way I can describe it. Some stuff doesn't automatically update, some stuff is created at the time of, the website being live. So when they initially create the website, some stuff is pushed once, some stuff is not updated. So this is one of those things, I know it's like on a laundry list of things for them to update to push through, but it's just kind of always a call out whenever we have someone transfer a market center, or in this case, if we have a merger take place. It's just one of those things that's on the list that I go through and change. Yes, ma'am.
Will you repeat how to get to this to change the market zone?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super simple. So, when we're on websites, right, we went to, let me just start all the way back from the beginning. Where's my initial command? Let's go. All right, so we're in command. We're on websites applet, right? We edit our website. We're gonna click to go into expert mode. And then in the upper left-hand corner, we're gonna see the hamburger button. It's 3 lines, looks like a hamburger.
Oh, I see.
Then from that, there's gonna be this section here called admin. We click this drop down, click organization site. And then from here, you can actually adjust, you're gonna scroll down and you can adjust the market center name and or your name or rainmaker name. Just don't change the quid. The quid, this will mess everything up if you do. It's a real pain in the rear.
Thank you. And then I
For
do
sure.
have another question, actually.
Sure.
I was trying to customize my home valuation page. And I did click on URLs, and I know that when you did it, it had your name. And then there was like slashes and dashes and all of that.
Mhm.
But mine is a combination of letters and numbers that aren't associated with my home.
And your website is live.
It is live.
Okay.
Also, a while, when I was with Excel. I had opted out of the Keller Williams email address, and I think it went away, but when I merged. Then the Keller Williams email address kind of took precedence. And now I'm trying to either remove the Keller Williams email address. And use my actual
Sure.
email address.
Sure.
So I'm not sure if that's related, but it's just a number of incoherent letters and numbers.
So, a couple things with that, so wait, for this, keep in mind, some of these changes, like for me, it was pretty quick. Sometimes it can take anywhere from like 30 minutes, 40 minutes for a page when you create a new page for those links to be live. It typically happens instantly, but sometimes it could be slower, but we can take a look at that and dive deeper into it.
Okay.
As far as the email goes, I think this will definitely be something, we just wanna verify a couple things. We wanna make sure your marketing profile is correct that we talked about earlier. Make sure all the correct email is there. And then in the upper right hand corner of that marketing profile, let me go to it versus talk about it. When we go into that market, this is the thing we wanna check. When we go in the upper right hand corner, we go to settings. We wanna go to connect settings and then that marketing profile. Make sure everything here is accurate. And then make sure we have this toggle on as well. That's what pushes those updates out. If that was all correct and everything's fine there, then more than likely, we're gonna need to capture some information and submit a ticket and see exactly what's going on. There's a handful of other places we can look, but we can connect after this to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any other questions for Josh?
Do you have anything to share that's new coming out?
Yeah,
I know I pushed out yesterday our Canva partnership
100%.
and how they're going to be doing a special training at Family Reunion
Mhm.
exclusively, or not Family Reunion, a mega camp. Just for using it and spend a lot of time on it. And then it's gonna be available Q3. You're gonna have the pro version, it's gonna be free, I mean, included in what you're currently paying. Is there anything else that's
Well, I just
You've
think,
seen?
well, to even give a little bit more clarity on that Canva partnership, this is a huge partnership, right? For those of you who are unfamiliar, we had our own kind of version of Canva, as a man called Designs. And to speak in the most plain language that I can, it was a little junky. It just wasn't a great experience, especially with how awesome Canva is. One of the really cool things about this Canva partnership, and this is what's important, you're just not getting a free version or no cost to you version of Canva. It's just not like a Canva Pro. They are working hand in hand with Canva to bring in some amazing integration possibilities. So for instance, the biggest thing, the most powerful part of our designs tool is that it was tied into our MLS. It's tied into all the MLSs in the country, because being a part of KW, you're tied into 98% of the MLSs. You're gonna easily be able to pull in any property photo, any property description from within Canva into your designs. That's the greatest thing about what we currently could do with designs, and the one thing Canva couldn't do, and it's gonna be a marriage together for that.
So you're talking about KWLS?
Yep, all of
Basically
it,
same
so
thing.
all of those listings, so like, it doesn't work in designs right now because they're making the migration, but I'll kind of give you an example. So for instance, I had created, here's a design that I created, in designs. Fix this real quick, see if it'll load, so I have all these photos, all these different things. I used to be able to go to KWLS. It would search for a property, right? I search for the property, and then I can easily select a photo and then swap that image in, right? Here's all that's actually what's working, which is super cool. But I can go through it and I can swap these photos out. There you go. I don't want that. I don't want to get a picture. I like my toilet pictures.
1970s bathroom?
Well, a toilet picture is important, right? That's where a lot of people spend more time than they realize. But anyways, but you can easily swap it. We're gonna have that same functionality in Canva, which is gonna be really cool. Yes.
So I use Canva a lot and have a whole bundle of custom templates that I've been using to like build that marketing portfolio. Are those am I gonna be able to integrate those
It's a
into
great question.
command and keep them?
So if you have an existing pro account, you're actually gonna be able to merge that into a KW account, a KW version of Canva. So said another way, all the hard work that you've done inside of Canva, you're not starting over, you're not gonna have 2 Canva accounts unless you wanna have 2 Canva accounts. You'll be able to take your existing Canva Pro and it will get migrated into the Canva system. So that way your billing will just disappear. Now, I wanna be clear about that too. I don't know if that's going to happen day one. I don't know, like, there's still a lot of unknowns as they're gonna start rolling this out over the next, 30, 60, 90 days. There's gonna be training that I'm gonna take part in, so I can kind of help you guys as well. So just kind of have a little grace, so stuff like that will come in stages. It could be day one, but just to set expectations, but yes, you're not gonna have to start over, you'll be able to migrate it. It's really cool. As far as other things that I could mention and show, gosh, the Canva thing is tremendous. I think the biggest thing that I would really kind of start to coach you guys on taking advantage of is really starting to think about your contact database in a unique way. Right? With the more we're getting AI integrated into command, right? The information you can provide within your database is gonna be key to helping our AI start to be more accurate. So one of the things that they're continuously talking about, and I'm hoping we're gonna see it before the end of the year, we'll find out. But they're working on creating what they refer to as a likely to sell, likely to buy. And it's AI that's gonna analyze your database and the information you have and use not only the data that you have internally, that we have internally on your clients, but also external information from different data sources to assign a score to your client. Like, here's the chance that they potentially could make a purchase. A lot of that is gonna rely on the accuracy of the data in your contact. Right, I mean, cause you're, you know, in the computer world, we have this saying, it's called garbage in, garbage out. Right, you can't take crap data, put it into a system and all of a sudden it just makes it pretty data, like, you know, you have to start with good data. So it's gonna be key for you guys to do that. So to that effect, one of the really cool things that they started to do is, let me pull up my personal contact, cause I just have more information in here. Go here, my contact, interesting, alright. You know, we have our AI summary tool, right? If you're not taking advantage of this, this is really, really cool. This is where, after 5 qualifying activities have been logged to a contact, it will regenerate an AI summary. And the idea behind the AI summary is that it's going to look at your notes, the activities you've logged, the emails you've sent, the text messages you've sent, the text you've received, what property searches they've clicked on, all this different stuff as they're interacting with your consumer experience and what you're logging, it's going to start to provide a summary, right? This is all the rage right now, right? You go to yahoo.com, you click on any of their news articles, and instead of reading the article, you click a button and it generates it into 3 bullet points, right? It's incredible because now what we do is we go to AI, I type in 3 bullet points, say, hey, write an article about this. And then someone takes that same article and says, hey, turn this into 3 bullet points, right? But that's what this does. And it's gonna give you a quick summary of what's going on in any particular contact's life, right? Here you can see, hey, the size, bedroom, bed, and year built ranges of the view properties have not yielded any discernible preferences from the contact regarding these features. So this is because I've set up on different searches and I'm clicking on different things, but imagine AI, as they're looking at the same properties, sometimes AI is gonna find insights and say, hey, do you notice that they're constantly looking at these kinds of properties? In addition, it's going to start to surface a prescription, right? So you may have a client that you haven't touched base with in a while. And when you look at this summary, it's gonna say, hey, you haven't actually logged any activities with them, this might be a good time to reach out to them. So I can't implore you guys enough, more than anything, this is the time to start logging those activities. When you are having conversations with clients, don't sit here and just think, oh, I'll remember that I talked to Dana. Take a moment, go to your command mobile, go to your desktop version and log that conversation. So that way we're feeding the AI as much information as possible so it can help you. The last thing I'll quickly mention with this as well, whenever we talk around our different AI, and I'll talk about another one here in a second, you're gonna notice there's this thing called, did you find this summary helpful? Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's extremely important you guys provide feedback on this. Here's the biggest struggle when we build tools in Austin, is they build a tool, we don't get feedback, or people don't use it, and then it's hard to continue to invest in a tool to improve it. But especially with AI, your feedback is important. Because if this doesn't make sense, give it a thumbs down, because that triggers the AI team that is developing our AI. This is what's really cool. We're just not taking ChatGPT. We are building our own LLM, our own large language model. And your feedback is what triggers the AI team at Austin to go in and say, hey, how did we mess this up? How can we improve our algorithm to provide more accurate information? Any questions regarding that? It's a really, really cool tool. The one thing I always tell everyone's like, well, Josh, I don't know what, I meet with new agents all the time and I talk about contacts. They're like, well, I don't know what to store. What do I write? Well, a good rule of thumb on what to document in a contact is simple. What pieces of information would you need if someone were to hand you this contact card with all this information that you would need to start building a relationship with that person? For me, I always tell agents, like new agents especially, what I would be doing, I would be going to my notes and I would create 4 notes that I update every single time. I'm a big believer in the Ford method of conversation and relationship building, if you're not familiar with it, right? Friends and family, occupation, where do they work, recreation, right? What do they do? What are their hobbies? And then dreams, you know. I would have a note for every single one of those acronyms, right? So that way, as I'm learning more about their friends and family, I'm updating that note. As I'm learning more about their job, I'm updating the O note, right? As I'm learning more about what they like to do, I'm updating that information. Because I wanna continue to feed AI as much information as possible. Because the next evolution of this is gonna be really, really cool. Now, this is future cast, right? This isn't the end of this year. This is what Chris Cox and his vision is as we continue to move forward. But you're gonna have an actual AI assistant inside of Command where you'll ask it questions, right? And you, as you're logging information and you're putting in information, it can be as simple as saying, hey, I'm doing a football giveaway. Who should I include in this list? And if you can go through and read the notes and find out that Jimmy loves football, or his son is at the age that might be interested in football, or something along those lines, but it all hinges on how much information you can plug into the system. Does that make sense? Any questions regarding that? The other big thing that I'll continuously mention as well, it is our AI chatbot that's actually that is our kind of like our version of ChatGPT of just color information. If you're on the dashboard screen, in the lower right hand corner, it's the little circle. I have been told this is the sparkle emoji by the youths. The young people say it's the sparkle emoji. And this is simple, right? Ask it questions. This is being trained on everything Keller Williams. Jensen mentioned he read the one thing. This has been trained on everything but one thing. Right? This has been trained on everything Ignite. This has been trained on MREA, MREI. This is going to be trained on the new rookie real estate agent handbook that's going to be launching here in the next couple months. This is trained on all of our courses, all of our one-pagers, all of our different things. Right? Ask it questions. Give it feedback. This is how we improve. This is kind of what Chris Cox mentions, like, we need to make sure that our AI model is good before we start having to do other things, right? This kind of ties back to what I said earlier, before our AI is automatically reaching out to your clients by sending text messages, we need to know 99% of the time it's gonna be 100% accurate. Because we don't want we don't want AI to ruin a relationship with a client. The other thing that I'll mention that most people aren't aware of, and this is really, really cool, is they started migrating all of our data, all of our training stuff into Connect inside of Command. Right, so when you go to Command, if you click Connect at the top, you can actually see our learning center here. This is where you can find all of our training, like all the KW trainings that have been posted, all the resources. The biggest thing that I would tell every single agent here, one of the most underutilized value props at Keller Williams is the ability to build your profit share. To help people self-discover that they love coming to Keller Williams. And when I have conversations, I work with McKissick, so I hear that conversation quite a bit about profit share as I should. And one of the biggest not complaints, but questions people have is well, I just don't know, how do I provide value to someone? Right? Do I just buy them the copy of the MREA? No. But one of the really cool things you have access to is our one-pager library. So when you go to Connect, do a search for a one-pager, and here's our one-page systems, right? And here's a list of, when we go to the one-page systems, here's a list of every single one-pager Jason and his team at Kitty has put out over the years, and they're categorized, right? On database, on events, on farming, right, on investments, right? And what's really cool, you can hit this little bookmark it just to bookmark that to check later. And the reason I mention this is simple. You guys are in a prime position, you're having deals with other non-KW agents all the time, I assume, right?
Yes.
And you have conversations, you build friendships with these people. And the one thing no one wants to be recruited. You guys don't want to be recruited away from KW. The truth is, no one wants to be recruited to KW. No one wants to be recruited in a sense. But we don't recruit here. What we do is we show the value that you get. So you're having conversations with agent at XYZ brokerage. And as it comes up, business is business, right? Me and Jens were having a conversation about the first quarter of real estate and where the market is doing this, and what's this, and you're gonna hear what gaps they have. I would promise you 90% of the time, there's probably a one-pager you could provide them. So imagine a scenario where you're hearing that you're talking to someone like, gosh, I just really need to hire an ISA. I just don't even really know where to start. Well, go to the leverage section, click on the ISA model, review this one-pager, print it off for them, and maybe next time you have lunch with them, just saying, hey, I know last time we talked, you had mentioned you were about, you were looking to start an ISA. Well, here's just some information that I thought was really helpful for me, and maybe it could be helpful for you. Right, and you're continuously leading with value, right? You know, basically, you know, Linda always says, but the Bible also says, right, the Linda, like you stole it from the Bible. You can't outgive what you can receive, that's Bible, everyone put it, the Lord wrote that. But it's the truth, right? So I think, to me, not taking advantage of Connect and the resources we have here, not just to improve your business, but to help you build relationships with others. I think, Dayla, that would be something that, while it's not like earth shattering, we have all these resources. So I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if I necessarily, I mean, there's little things I could continue to show you guys. But I think, you know, that's kind of the things that I would focus on. Any other questions for Josh? Yes, no, maybe so?
So many.
Well, I will be here the rest of the day. So I'm here till, well, not the rest of it, I'm leaving at 4 o'clock. I'm trying to beat that traffic. I'm gonna do my best.
It's Tuesday, good luck.
Well, I'm gonna try. You know, last time I was here, I made that sucker's bet and I tried to go left. At 5 o'clock into the parking lot, not going to the light. 30 minutes.
Oh,
30 minutes. And I thought like someone was gonna slow down for me. No, it's like they started to speed up.
yeah,
Like,
like, nope, that's
okay,
it.
let's go in. Now, I literally almost parked my car just so I could walk in. I'm just gonna leave it there. Like, no one was behind me, only an idiot tries to go left into here at this time. But thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, Pam's a great resource, and get out of here if you want to, or we can hang out, keep talking.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Let me go and stop and share stuff.
No.
Oh.
I knew that was your next thing.
Oh, Connie, look, I think.
But it's also too, like, he's right.
So we're gonna take a look at your computer.
I come to the.
First, show me the email. Let's cover that. So when you're seeing it showing like wrong, let me see it.
Well,
And I'm Josh, right? So. Nice to meet you.
You said, hey, oh, she did.
Well, now it's sending down there.
I was in my computer, guys are helping me.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Calm down. Calm down. All right. So where? Well, first of all,
because Andy told me something to do.
My website up, it was.
So are you all?
Oh.
And the next thing you need to say, just what she told you to do.
So I started talking.
Right.
So they got closed out.
So there is like.
From somebody,
So
so of course, their admin said, can you please submit your corrections and get. And so I know that.
So that makes sense.
And.
I don't think I probably.
Well, there's some. Again, August for. So I'll probably.
That's the best. I'm trying to see.
And then go back to right.
Yeah.
I wanna make sure.
I told her I said, "Well, we might be able to read out."
I got,
Well, that's
so like, the complication, that's the idea I had, and I just bought it all at that.
Okay, so you're
But right.
Well,
But I actually used, I got my computer to prove, but we're talking.
Well, appreciate that. Are you good?
Is to my. I've never paid.
They're now like, I don't know it, right? That's it.
And so then I feel.
Sure. So I think So we're
But then it gets that, they're not pulling on each other, they're just going on together. But then the amount of people who are like, I remember when you actually am. Your idea that if I went to get it would really be.
And that's.
Right, you're asking.
Here.
I think.
You just do it.
But yeah, and then every time they sort of have to like play back and figure it out.
That's true.
Well,
Like everything else, they've gone.